Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another live edition of Mic'd Up Sports, the show that goes in depth with the people who build our sports community. It's been a while since our last podcast. If you're following us live, that's because I've been busy doing live sports again, but we're in a little bit of a break. So that gives us an opportunity to highlight an athlete who got many breaks for herself at Osseo and Eastern Michigan University, Phillis Webb. You might remember Phillis as a three-sport athlete with the Osseo Orioles, going to state basketball and track for several years and picked up a few first place medals in state track. And then she played all 4 years of her college basketball career at Eastern Michigan University. And these days you can find her as a grant writer in the city of Duluth, if my research is correct. So Phyllis, it sounds like no matter what capacity you're in, you still find a way to be a good teammate. Thanks for coming on. And I'll start with this. What are some similarities and differences between your current role as a grant writer and your time as an athlete?
No one yells at me as much. Yeah, I think that's the first difference. My boss is very calm, cool, and collected, which I appreciate. I think the biggest similarity would be teamwork. Asking your teammates, off and on the court, where it's like, if I need help, don't be afraid to ask for help. My father always taught me, if you leave somewhere confused, that means that the person didn't explain it well enough to you. He taught me that for like the court. He taught me that for the classroom. So I've always never been able to ask or never been afraid to ask questions, because I get confused really easily. You can ask some of my coaches. So one of the things growing up in high school, I would ask questions and my coaches be like, stop thinking, just do it. And I'm like, but what does that mean? I don't know. What does it do? I to go left or right? Like, I don't. So, but I do ask questions, and sometimes I've had it. Now I'm more confident where if someone leaves me with a piece of information, I try to run with it and figure it out myself. Being an adult is a verb you got to do. So I very much so try to figure stuff out by myself to a certain extent. But if I do need help, I'm more than willing to ask people for help. So I think those two are the main things. No one's angry at you, but you're an adult. You can do it yourself. So
I have to wonder what the part about you being an inquisitive fellow, if your high school and college teammate Janay Morton would concur that you were the athlete who would always ask questions and maybe overthink things a little bit.
yeah, I tell you what, my old coach, Coach Verdi, who's at UMass right now, he kept things simple for me. He tried his best. I'm like, I don't know this play, can we just run through it? But he was a really, really good coach, really good sense of humor. So he did help me through that, because I remember when he did recruit me, which was funny, he actually came to a volleyball game of mine. And he said that he loves recruiting players like me because, as high school, you need to grow, you need to be built, so he loved players that he could build into, incredible talented athletes. So he's seen that in me, so I think but I was confused all the time. I'm still confused all the time, which is fine. I own it, so it's good.
And yet you still managed to score over 1,000 points at Eastern Michigan. So if you could do that while you were confused, I wonder
just run straight.
Right. Just run straight.
Yeah.
That's probably why track maybe was an easy sport for you then, because you have to just run around in one direction. You don't have to worry about going left or right. It's run in a circle.
Yeah, just my coach would be like, look, because so with track, I had a lot of anxiety with track. Yes, I'm a good athlete, but I'm also human. I also put something up on my social media today, and it said, because I heard it today, and I was like, it's an incredible point. if you still get anxiety with things that you have been doing forever, that means that you are just like still in love with your craft. So I would get anxiety all the time. And my coach would be like, look, it's fine. All you gotta do is just run straight and take a left and then just run straight again. And I'm like, okay. I was like, I can do that. So, but yeah, I mean, I would just try to, even if I was confused, it's like just work hard. That, you know, that's all you need to do at the end of the day. And then things will take care of themselves, you know.
Well, you bring up a couple of points as we chronicle your history in sports. So, with you getting anxieties, and I think that happens with almost any athlete, whether it's basketball, track, volleyball, or whatever sport they participate in.
Mhm.
How do you manage that? Because I imagine for track, you don't want to false start. You want to make sure on a relay that you get the handoff cleanly. And basketball, you want to make sure you run a good possession, run a good set. I imagine there are a lot of things you have to think about, and
Mhm.
volleyball too. So there's a lot of quick time decisions, especially in volleyball, basketball. So how do you think your anxiety maybe fueled you as an athlete, and how did you navigate it so that it wouldn't overwhelm you?
Um, you know, at some points, anxiety would get the best of me, but that's just kind of the definition of getting the jitters out in anything that you're doing. And you know, I've had mess ups. If I said that I didn't have mess ups, then I'm lying. But what I would usually do, and even in any aspect whether it be like the classroom, a big project coming up in work, or um, playing against Michigan, you know, turning that anxiety into energy and just breathing. I try to meditate now. I should have picked this up more in college, but you know, a lot of athletes, they listen to music. So channeling, finding a song that channels that anxiety, channels that energy, so that you know you can visualize the stuff that you need to do on the court or wherever. So what I would do is I would just kind of listen to music and just I know I used to go out and shoot a little bit before we had like our game plan with our coach. So just like focusing, you know, I'm sweating, all of that, but getting that those nervous jitters out and just focusing on like my form, focusing on, you know, I need to get low on defense. Like I was hit or miss on defense. It depended on the team, but I would try. But I was a banger. I was a 4 or 5, depending on who we played. I always like, that was weird to me too. I was a post my whole life, and I am 5'8". It didn't make any sense to me. I also still can squat 310, so that's probably where that came from. So, but you know, going back to like the question, just channeling it and controlling it. If you let your anxiety control you, you've already lost the battle. You have to, you know, put the reins on it and just ride it through till for 40 minutes, you know, or if that's too long of a time period for you with like basketball, like at each timeout, take that breath, and then once you go back, you're back. You're a different person. You know, if you have to trick yourself, have an alter ego. You know, this is dumb, but Beyonce has Sasha Fierce. She still gets nervous. I've heard her say this in an interview. If I'm nervous before a concert or whatever I'm about to perform, I turn into this person, you know, so that she's never scared. She, you know, doesn't blink an eye or anything like that. I have my Sasha Fierces, you know, but you know, that's just to show that confidence. And that person still messes up themselves, but they are, lack of a better term, a better version of yourself so you can get the job done.
What are your go-to songs when you need to temper your anxiety, so to speak?
Back in college, I high school or college, I know that I was just getting big into like Big Sean. It's funny since I went to school 30 minutes away from Detroit, and he's a Detroit native, you know, but his vibe is unmatched to a lot of people. Some Drake songs, it depends on which Drake you're getting, you know. But just hype songs. I know, like one of the athletes I went to college with, his name is Tim Bond. He plays for Chicago's D League right now. He put me on to a lot of Meek Mill, you know. It's just like it has to have a good beat and just like match with, if my heart's going fast, then I want a beat that matches my energy. So or it, to be honest, even if I didn't pick like if I didn't pick an individual, it's just that type of music, that hype music, you know. So except one song, my sophomore year, the band would always play it's an 80s song called Africa. And
Toto.
yeah, I love that song. I love 80s music. It was just weird. I'm weird. It's fine. I love 80s music, but the band would always play that song when we'd be warming up, and I would just be singing to that song. So it doesn't give me hype, but it makes me happy. So yeah.
Phyllis, I wouldn't call that weird because Africa has had a life of its own. Weezer covered it a few years ago, and that is one of those songs that has stood the test of time, if you will. So I don't know if I call that weird.
Yeah.
And they say normal is just a setting on a washer dryer anyway. So I'm sure we'll find, as we discover more things that you might find weird, I'm going, I don't know. Like,
Right.
I'm sure there's more that Janay and others would say, but it's like, hey, you know what? You've made it this far. So I think being weird is worked out for you.
Absolutely. If I have a diploma in weird, I have three. I have a bachelor's in business. I have a master's in public administration, and then they gave me a certificate in being weird, and I accepted. So there's that. But I mean, even if you ask Janay, I've known Janay since 2002. She knows I'm a character, but she appreciates it. Not everybody can be walking around being perfect. Not me. So I bug her as much as I possibly can.
You just gave me an idea for a follow up after we're done with this podcast, Phyllis, because I had Janay on late summer and it was fun reconnecting. There was another note going back to your sports history that I wanted to follow up on when you discuss your background. And I came across an old interview of yours after you graduated from Osseo and were ready to make that transition. You went to college for basketball, of course, but you said volleyball was your favorite sport. Basketball was the team sport, but you wanted to be perfect. And track was the suicide sport.
I still say that now.
So I guess, how did you make it all work? And I'm thinking, were you crazy because you took up the suicide sport in track, but you set a state record in the 4x2 relay, if I recall. You had a great career in basketball. Volleyball, you said, was a sport that you know the least about, but was the most fun. What got you into all of those sports?
So I guess the first one I'll start with is basketball. My brother played basketball, and so did my father. My father told me that when he came back from the Vietnam War, he walked on to University of Minnesota's basketball team. I think it was I want to say the late 70s, I believe. Just something to do, keep him out of trouble. But he loved the sport, and it's instilled in me too. So that's where that came from. And just being like, I'm the youngest, so my brother's the oldest. So, and I have another sibling, I have a sister as well. But I've always idolized my brother. You know, he's not perfect himself, but you know, just seeing him, you know, work hard. I know back in like the 90s and early 2000s, there's the AAU team, the Minnesota Magic, I think was his growing up. But just seeing like how much fun he had, like we have downstairs, we just have a ton of trophies on a fireplace mantle and just seeing like how cool that was. And you are an artifact of your environment as well. So just being in that environment, was just incredible. And I just loved like the environment of sport, so that's how that happened with basketball. And I just stuck with it. And since I do idolize both of them, I wanted to make both of them proud. Originally I actually did want to go to the University of Minnesota because both of them went, but I ventured out, weighed my options, and as a senior, I knew already that I wanted to get my degree in business admin. So I went to Eastern for that because they were one of the best in the country for that. When it comes to volleyball, volleyball, there's he's the I can't remember his title, but Bill Kwan at Osseo. He used to be the head coach of the girls volleyball team. But at the time, he also was the JV coach for the basketball team. So when I was transitioning, I played basketball my 8th grade year at Park Center, and I wanted to transition and play with Janay over at Osseo. So he knew I was coming over there. So there's one day, I don't know when, I think they started in like early August when they start getting back in the gym and then starting tryouts for volleyball. Quan was like, hey, let's try something real quick. I was like, what? He was like, all right, you're going to stand on this box and I want you to, the net's going to be in front of you. And all I want you to do is just angle your arms, and like my JV coach is just going to hit volleyballs into your arms, and just sit there and just keep your arms sturdy and see how you feel about it. All right, I'm a freshman. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going to listen to what this man's saying. It was fine. He was like, how was that? It's fine. My arms hurt and they sting, but it's fine. And then ever since then, he was just like teaching me more and more stuff, like giving me or having different coaches teach me different stuff. So that was fun. And then I just fell in love with the sport, like just the atmosphere and of excitement and stuff like that. It was just fun. Like, yeah, I got into the sport late, but I'm glad that Quan grabbed me when he could, so, and I love, at the time, I probably can't do it now, but it was fun because I started as a right side, then I ended up as a middle. And I'm just like, this is so weird, but it was so fun. But I can still, well, not anymore, but I can touch the top of the poles on the ends too if I jumped and had good form. It was awesome. So, and that helped with basketball too, because you're constantly jumping. It didn't help with my shin splints. I have 3 old stress fractures in my legs from playing 3 sports, but it comes with territory. But that helped, with certain things in basketball. Like, yeah, you're just running short distance and then jumping, but it's like, the timing is everything. Like, there's some plays in basketball where you have to time it right, or else you miss the whole opportunity to score. And then track, DeVries, he is no longer the varsity track coach, but he was friends with Quan and knew that I was coming over to Osseo. So, and I think he was my teacher. All of these coaches were my teachers, other than Reeser and Joey Waters, who passed away last year. But they just grasped me when they had the opportunity. And I was like, okay. And I didn't run track my freshman year because I got my first stress fracture. But I ran track from 8th grade to my senior year, and I never not made it to state. So I just, and track kept me in shape for AAU too. That was another thing. And my dad was a 3-sport athlete at Central High School as well. Miles, he just did basketball. He didn't like getting hit. My brother does not like football like that. Basketball, he was like, I'm just going to stick with this. But me, I never sat down other than to do my homework. But, track was fun, and the environment with that too, like Brianna Puckett, I was with her last week. She's a trainer. And that was really fun catching up with her. She told me last week that our record still stands in Minnesota to this day, I believe. So, yeah.
And here you are. I'm still impressed that when you said you can still squat 310, I'm going, all right, I better not mess with you, because if I get too silly or whatever, I'm like, okay, she can kick my butt.
I'm a lover, not a fighter. I'm calm. I'm very calm.
Okay. Still though, I'm gonna behave myself
Thank you.
so that you don't have to show off those squatting abilities.
Right.
Uh, well, you mentioned knowing Janay since 2002, and that friendship carried over all the way through college and still does. So you mentioned wanting to go to Osseo so you could play alongside her. So what do you remember from that first meeting, and how do you think that friendship has evolved from your time as high school teammates in two sports, college teammates for 3 years at Eastern Michigan, to what you're doing now? You as a grant writer, Janay and a coach at MSU Mankato.
Mm-hmm. Um, I think that it's just been fun throughout the years. We've both seen each other become, incredible women with, aspirations for the specific goals that we want to pursue in life. And still having those moments where I can bring up a story and either she gets embarrassed or I just make her laugh. I think that we've both seen each other's good sides and bad sides, but we've always had each other's backs at the end of the day. And that's something that you hold on to those type of people, especially like, excuse me, even her family as well. I see them as my family. They've always, fed me when I was hungry. PB&J. I used to eat up all their bread at their house. I don't know why I love PB&Js, but the type of brand that they used to have, it was good. But just making sure that all of us were okay. And I'm sure that like she would say the same thing about like my father. All of the girls that I played AAU with, we've seen each one of their moms and dads like our moms and dads. It just carries over to this day. The Jade Martins of the world, the Janay Mortons of the world. I used to, when they were together, I used to always be like, Jade, I mean Janay. I'd be like, crap. So that was a thing. But or a whole bunch of people. I didn't come into contact with Naila as much, but she, incredible. She's still in the WNBA right now. So, but her family's incredible, so you just you come across so many good people and you follow them. So like with Janay, I knew she always wanted to coach even when we were in college as well. And I think that I'm sure she's doing an amazing job. I know I'm located in Duluth right now, but they play UMD here coming up in a couple months, and I'm gonna go and support that too. So I just think that no matter what, whether it's like the ups and downs, like me and her always have each other's backs. Like if she were to call me and need me for something, like I would help her out. So because things go past sports, it's the person at the end of the day. And that's something that I carry with me no matter who I come into contact with in any walks of life. So there's a lot of sketchy individuals in this world, but when you do find good people, you hold on to them.
I'm curious how that dynamic was impacted. It's clear that the two of you are still good friends, but when Janay decided to finish her college career at Nebraska, so the two of you had been together all this time through volleyball and basketball, and Janay mentioned she wanted to have a chance to prove herself at a Power 5 school. That was a goal of hers, and she got an opportunity to do that. But when she decided to make the move after 3 years together, how did the two of you handle that situation? And how do you think that maybe strengthened your friendship? Because as you were saying, that you still call each other up, you're going to go to the UMD MSU Mankato game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's clear that it didn't really affect the friendship in a negative way, but That is
Hmm.
an interesting wrinkle, when you're with someone for such a long time,
Right.
since 2002.
I mean, even with that too, we knew in high school though, like a lot of people thought we were like a package deal. It just so happened that we both went to the same college. Coach Verdi didn't tell us that. He told us after we both got recruited, and he was like, "Hey, by the way," and I was like, "Oh, okay." So, which was fine. It's a familiar face in a foreign place, so that was perfectly fine with me. Um, but when it came to like her decision, her final year, I'm not her. Whatever goals that she wanted to pursue, who am I to say no, you can't go? For me in particular, I had two things on my mind. So the first option, since there was a new coach coming in, I was going to try to go to the U of M because, like I mentioned earlier, my father went and so did my brother. So I was like, hey, maybe I can pursue this dream of getting a degree you know, um, at home and being able to play in front of my father, because he hasn't seen me play, for 4 years. My dad doesn't fly. In fun fact, when he was in Vietnam, he was on a hijacked plane, so he doesn't like planes, which is understandable. But and he would always fly out when he had to, but that was something. But with me, like, a lot of people on the outside looking in, like, you were an incredible athlete. I felt that if I went to the University of Minnesota, I wasn't going to play. I didn't think I was, because I didn't know where I was going to kind of fit in their high speed tempo or whatever tempo. I can't even remember how they ran. I think they were more of like, Eastern was more of like a transition and go team. And then if we had to set up plays, we would. To me, the U of M was more like ready, set, go, but it worked. Like if you were winning games and you're doing that, by all means, with the pawns you have on your board, do that, But I'm only 5'8", and there's a lot of big girls in the Big Ten. So I would have tried to help hold my own. But I think I could have made it. I could have played against Kayla. That would have been fun. But and I could have played against a whole bunch of girls, or played with a whole bunch of girls I played with in high school too. So, but I mean, I stayed at Eastern because it didn't make sense for me to leave when I was so close to getting a degree. In my head, a degree is something that no one can take away from you because you earned that. It has your name on it and you own it. So I just stayed because my winter semester of my senior year, I only had one class and it was online. So I stayed. I made it easy for myself. I busted my butt. I always took 2 classes every summer, including my freshman year, so that I could, have that set up my senior year. And I know it's not, you think about your career and what you should do at that moment, but I made so many friends at Eastern as well. I was comfortable, and there's nothing wrong with being comfortable. And I mean, it wouldn't have been anything wrong with if I wanted to make myself uncomfortable one more time and take that leap of faith going to the U. But I made my decision. She made her decision, and she did good. And I'm still proud of her to this day. With all the things that she came across. So, and I'm proud of myself. For we weren't the best my senior year, but I wouldn't trade those girls for the world. They stuck around with me because they believed in me and I believe in them. And whether we take an L or not, we go down fighting. And I went down fighting with them every single time. So I don't regret anything.
As you noted, Phyllis, your official height is 5'8", and I've had some athletes on the podcast who functioned as post players, even if they were undersized. Jalila Chakolis comes to mind, who is playing at Hampton now. She was 5'6" at Hopkins, but wasn't afraid to get down there. So how do you compensate? You're 5'8". You mentioned having to go up against taller competition in conference, outside of conference, but Your strength is without question, since you can still squat 310, but when you're 5'8", going in amongst the trees, how do you make sure you can hold your own?
Um, some of those trees were not as strong as me. My roots were stronger. um, Even like, so like my senior year in college, I believe the girl that went first round in the WNBA, she was my height, I believe. I think, and I'm pretty sure. Or she was like an inch taller than me. I'm like, you're at UConn and you're holding your own. That's what someone told me. And I was like, okay, well, but even, despite that, I just use my strength. And like, if you're shorter, you just use your abilities and whatever you got to do, swim through, you move your feet, you take the movements of a post and you make them your own and you craft them so that you come up on top on the competition. So, and I mean, and if all else fails, just be strong. Like it worked for me. I was kind of shocked that I was a post in college, but it worked just because my coaches seen, they're like, I could kind of dribble, not really. It got better my junior and senior year. I'll say that. But you know, I liked banging with bigger individuals. I don't know where it came from, but I think I liked being underestimated a lot, knowing that, oh, she's taller or she's shorter than me. I got this. No, you don't. I'm like, because you have to get to the basket first. Like, so tussling on the ground, all that. Like, I'm that type of, I used to wear knee pads and an arm strap in college and high school because I would die for the ball. Like, I'm like, if you want the ball, you have to get it from me first. Like, I have that mentality. If it's a jump ball, if you don't let go, you're coming with the ball. Like, that was my mentality, and it's worked multiple times. Or even if it's a jump ball, it's a jump ball, but you still didn't get it. So, just having that dog eat dog mentality, because like, your teammates depend on you, but I got something to prove since you think that since I'm short, I don't got nothing, I'm not going to score. Okay, and we'll see. Like, so, and having fun with it too. And putting in that work off the court, going to practice, being ready to play like it's a game, like you have to go 100% and asking those questions. I tried to get a few moves. I wasn't like a complex post where I had like a whole bunch of moves, the up and under a couple times. Like, I was simplistic, but it worked for me. So, and again, don't confuse me. Don't do it, coach, because it's going to happen. Don't do it. So simplicity is everything.
And on the subject of friendships, we've highlighted the camaraderie you and Janay have. Of course, that extended to teammates, rivals in high school and college, and the other moments. We talked about this before we started. You and Taylor Anderson, the two of you faced off several times in basketball and track.
Mm-hmm.
I think the two of you played against each other in 2012 in the 4A state championship for basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And then you would see each other every year at the state track meets, two of the fastest kids in the field. I guess friendly rivalry would be the best way to put it, because it was clear the two of you would support each other. You mentioned how much respect you have for what she's done, and I'm sure she'd say the same to you. But what was that like, having to go against each other in the same sport in basketball and then in the same races in track? Because if I recall, both of you were sprinters.
Yeah, she ran, don't quote me on this, but it kind of varies each year of what you have on your track team. So my junior year, I ran all relays, because usually the coaches kind of specifically for Osseo, the seniors get to pick if they want to do individual. And if they do have a chance and the coaches think that they have a chance, then they get to do that. And then everybody else, do the relay. So my junior year, I did all the relays. She was in the 200 relay that year too, I believe. Yeah. I remember Hopkins was in that. But my senior year, we lost a couple good components my senior year, so we just got put in all individuals. So I got the state in the 100, the 200, and the 400. So, but Taylor, her dad coached her in track too. Me and Taylor have known each other since 4th grade. We played AAU basketball together, so I've always had love for her family too, because her and her sister are hilarious. They just are fun individuals. Like there's an aura around them that just like screams like happiness. But when you're on the court or you're on the track or what have you, you turn that switch on, and then once you're done, you turn it off, and you be like, haha, or something like that. So, but I've never like talked junk during basketball. Really, people got to start it first. I'm not gonna start it. If you start it, then I'm gonna finish it. But that was friendly rivalry. My senior year, going back to like what I was gonna tell you, when you go to when you make it to state, they always have those vendors with the shirts and the hoodies and the memorabilia for that year. So my dad, he was like, I'll get you this hoodie. Or I was like, I made a bet with him. I was like, hey dad, I was like, if I win the 200, will you get this hoodie for me? Because at the time, $65, that's a lot. I don't have that. But he was like, okay. I was like, yay. So I didn't know if I was going to win. I was just going to go out there and try my best. And just nervous as hell. I'm not going to lie to you. Like running against good athletes or anybody, I could just see her shadow behind me. I was like, the sun is not my friend right now, because you just see her feet. And I'm like, feet, you got to move faster than this. So, but and one thing, I know you said like with anxiety, you got to make sure that you don't false start. I always started late, so I wouldn't. I was the anchor my sophomore and junior year. I always took off late. So my coaches don't know that. Oops, sorry, coaches. But when I would go back and get like stick or the baton, I would make eye contact, make sure I had it first, and then go. So, because I knew, which I'm not a cocky individual, but I'm like, either I can catch this chick or she can't catch me. So I was like, so, and I wish that I could find that video where I did race Taylor. I don't know where it's at. I don't know if you said she has a picture of it. I need to ask her, because I want that picture. Like, and then like everybody was like, so when me and her got done racing on the 200, she fell, not bad. She just, kind of stumbled a little bit, trying to catch her breath. And I know she was like, I think something was going on with her leg or something like that. So everybody thought this was a heartfelt moment, but I was like, well, she can't get to the podium. Like, I got to help her. So I just put her on my back, and then I went to go get her some ice and then all that. And then once she was done, put her back on my back, and then took her back to the tent and got her some more ice. Like, that's what you do, like that's how my dad raised me. It doesn't matter even if she beat me, I'm probably still pick her up and like, I know her, get her some ice and get her to her parents, like, so but my dad said when I crossed the finish line, he felt the money going out of his pocket. So I was like, yep, that's my job. But that was a hell of a race, even when I talk about it, you still get like chills and all that, but I couldn't beat her now. I don't think I could. I'd be like, ooh, girl, I need to like train a lot. I'm like, you look like a robot. I'm not on that level. I used to be, now I'm not. But I mean, if I ever stuck with track, I think I would have did okay. I almost stayed at Easton for a 5th year, and I almost ran track because I looked at I looked at my times for my senior year, and some of the females there, my time was faster than theirs on some stuff. But and they were hell of athletes too. But I was like, oh, I can stick with them. So my 5th year, I was like, I don't know. But they used to get something called a triple crown. They have in college, I guess they have an outdoor season and then the indoor season, not in that order, but there are so many good athletes there. I can't remember what his name is right now. His name is, he was a triple jumper or a long jumper. He just came back from Tokyo as well, from Eastern Michigan, and he, did really good in track there too. But yeah, I always love thinking about like the past and like competing against like these incredible athletes now, and wondering like if I would have stuck with it, if I would have went overseas or something like that, if I would have did like good or not. But I don't try to let myself down, so I think I would have did okay going overseas.
The fan of me would have enjoyed seeing a rematch of you and Taylor in college or professionally if you decided to pursue track. But I think basketball worked out for you. Track has worked out for her. And like you said, I'll never forget, I was running the production for Grand Stadium, and unfortunately, I don't know what happened to all that video. But like I said, I just remember laughing and I couldn't stop because I knew of the history between you two, having covered the state finals in basketball every year. So I'm like, oh, these two know each other. And you two had a friendship. So it was it was a heartfelt moment. So don't sell yourself short. But as you were saying, it's like it was expected, like, hey, we're buddies, we're friends, and she would do the same for me. But I still found it's an amusing sight that the state champion, the gold medalist, says, all right, I'll give you a piggyback back to camp, get you taken care of. And like you said, that you're just helping one of your good friends out there. But I still look back on that moment fondly, just because of how much it meant to Taylor, how much it means to you. And like, that's one of those things when you look back on the past, you're like, yeah, we gutted it out, but you got a moment. I'm sure the two of you still talk about it. You got a moment you'll never forget.
Right, absolutely. And they made it my senior year. So all the athletic directors get a 3-year calendar. That was on the 3-year calendar as the front of it. So it was me and her running. I was like, why did y'all put that on there? Look at my face. I'm like, oh my God. But you know which one I'm talking about, where it's like the jumbled sports. So it's like hockey, soccer, basketball, volleyball. I think those are really cool. I have a picture of it in my phone. But I thought that was pretty cool. One of those moments where a picture doesn't do justice for that, even though it was only, less than 30 seconds, like it's in history now.
So looking back at your athletic career, Phyllis, what would you say was your most exciting moment? This could be from high school or college, and your most embarrassing moment.
Which one am I going to do first? I had embarrassing moments like a minimum of like once a week. So it's not, it still happens now.
But that's right. You were confused all the time. So I suppose they just cropped up.
I was really clumsy. My high or college coach used to say there was a sniper in the gym because me and one of my other teammates would fall randomly, and I was like, and we would go back over like the practice film, and you just see one of us just go fall. I'm like, I would get back up though. I think one of the embarrassing moments, which I think is hilarious, we were playing Ohio University Bobcats, and we were there. We were at their place, and we had a rivalry between them. I still don't like them to this day. They can watch this, and I fondly do not like them. I was guarding, or I had the ball, and I was on the corner, like corner of the wing. I don't know how I did this. I didn't practice this. So we just did a motion. So, you would try to drive, penetrate, which either way, and either you would dish it out on the sidelines, jump out and throw the ball, or you would drive and then you would kick it out to the top. So I drove left, took 2 dribbles, and I crossed over. Girl said, skirt. My teammates were like, oh, and then I tried to shoot it. It went off the side of the board. I said, whoops. And they were like, and my teammates were like about to hype me up because they thought I was about to shoot a good shot. They were like, defense. I was like, sorry guys. But it's funny because I redeemed myself. I did it again accidentally against the same girl the next time we played them, and I actually made it that time. I never practiced it. Like, it was just like a cool crossover. I was like, skirt, because I am like a Neanderthal sometimes. I'm like, me run forward, I get the ball, I shoot the ball. But I'm not like one of those like one players who's like, start and stop, crossover, It worked. So, and I made it. I'm 1 for 1. So there you go. My most exciting moment, I guess with the Taylor moment as well. That was exciting in high school, but I think I would say my sophomore year in college, at the time, I lost one of my teammates to a car crash in 2014. It was really tragic. A lot of the teams in the MAC thought that we weren't going to play for the rest of the year. And we did. And we were the 6th seed. One of the pictures I showed you, did you see that tournament bracket I sent you? So the reason why I sent that to you is because we were the first 6th seed to make it to the championship ever in MAC history. However, we had to play 6 games to get to we played the number 1 seed, which was the Ohio Bobcats. They had a 3-round bye. That doesn't make any sense. We lost in the championship, but I will say we were blowing out each team. So let's see if I can remember this. Okay, so Saturday night, we played Kent State at home. They were the 7th seed, we were the 6th seed, we won. I don't think we blew them out, but like we won by like 10 or 12 or something like that. Make it to Cleveland. We traveled to Cleveland Monday. We played Toledo Tuesday, blew them out by 30. We played Akron on Wednesday, blew them out by 40. We played Ball State, blew them out by 30 because we were gunning for Ohio. We wanted, because they were stuff I'm not going to say, but they were butt heads, I'll say. And there were some certain things that were going on that I didn't like, talking about teammates that were no longer with us. So I didn't like that. So, but my teammates, we took this opportunity to play for who we lost, play for a loved one. We played our hearts out. If you ask Janay, she feels the same way. And we did our best, but then we made it to like the WNIT. That's the first time, or that's the second time we made it in our school's history, and we just had fun with it. I think that was just an exciting moment, just to, not the homework that I had to make up, because let me tell you something, when you are on the road and you have classes, it's tough. Like, some professors who don't like athletes, it's just simple and plain. You gotta like beg and plead, like, hey, I'm gonna be on the road. Like, this is the only way I can turn in my paper or whatever, but I would never change that opportunity for the world. If I could bring back my teammate, I would, I would change that. But, what came from it was incredible, despite, a tragic event that happened. And I think that was just an incredible moment, showing that, like, if you show up to play and you have something kind of weighing heavy on your heart, but you have that mentality to do whatever it takes to succeed for that individual. That's what that tournament was. We played, and the dumb part about it too, the year after we had so the 1 and the 2 had a 3-round bye, the 3 and the 4 had a 2-round bye. They changed the bracket the year after that. We would have won. And I say that with the utmost confidence. We would have won the MAC if the bracket wasn't so skewed that much. I've never heard of a 3-round bye in my life. Like at least like maybe a 1 or a 2, but a 3, I'm like, geez, like that's a lot. So, but and whoever is watching this, they might not agree with me. I don't care. So just like, it happens. But I thought that was an incredible moment, and my teammates and us, we bonded off of that, so it's fond memories and never forget it.
And when you were playing, I just think about how much it's changed in college sports now, because when you were playing, you thought that was crazy having a skewed bracket in such a manner. And I know when the Big Ten expanded to 14 teams, that took a little bit of getting used to with the 2-round bye. And now about the NLI deals that athletes can engage in. And so I'm thinking Phillis and all these others, yourself, Taylor, Janay, like you all played too early. I tease.
Maybe. Well, because I had with my birthday, it's weird. I was born January 17th. My mom put me in school late because if I would have went to school early, I would have been 4 or something. So she put me in 5 going to 6, but I would have played. I would have graduated with Michaela Bailey. I would have played with a whole bunch of, I would have been in the same class as, I think she's a year older than me. What's the girl on The Bachelor right now?
Oh, Michelle Young.
Yeah, I think she was Michaela Bailey's. Was she 2012?
She was 2011. She was
okay. I would have played with her, but
yeah, she was the Miss Basketball finalist the same year Rachel Banham won it.
Yep. So, which again, it's funny, basketball athletes. If you haven't met them in person, you hear about one another. I met Rachel Banham maybe a year and a half ago for the first time, and I was like, "Hi, my name is Phillis Webb." She's like, "I know who you are." I'm like, "Oh," I'm like, "Well, hello." So I didn't know what to do. I was just like, I was out with Kayla. And for New Year's, I think, or New Year's, the day before New Year's Eve, and we just, wanted to chill out with some of our friends. And I was like, "Hi," and she's like, "I know who you are." I was like, "Well, I've never said hi," but incredible athlete. That was hilarious to me. I was like, "All right." So, but yeah, I think it's even that. Because Joe Coleman's on that. I don't watch the show. I want to be on here and be quite frank. I don't watch the show. Good for them. I'm just not. I just don't watch. Michaela Bailey, she likes that show. I don't watch it at all. But yeah,
that's okay. I can't say I follow The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. I only heard about it when stories about Michelle came out, and I'm going, did I not? Because I started covering high school basketball around that time, but she was at Woodbury and I wasn't as familiar with them. So I'm like, that's probably why I didn't hear about her. Cause I'm going, wait, she was this, like, she wasn't just any old, like she went to Bradley. She wasn't some pushover. Right. Going, why didn't I hear about her? Oh, and then you put, no, you are right though, Phyllis. I've never played a single minute, but there are people who recognize me. Mm-hmm. And I just find that bizarre. Like, why? I'm not the star. I just write stories. I call games and we're going, wait, why do I have all these fans? I'm not the one going out there. I'm not the one getting shin splints and sacrificing.
You're good at your craft. If you're good at your craft, people take notice. It doesn't matter what you're doing. So that means you're doing a good job.
My favorite was covering an AAU tournament, and I walk out after the day's slate of games are done, and this teenager just recognizes me, this random teen. I've never met him before. It's like, I watch all your games on YouTube, and I think I did something like this, like, oh.
Yeah.
More recent, there was a few days ago, there was a parent who screen grab my tweets at a fall showcase event that I was covering, and I was embarrassed because I'm like, oh my God, that's me.
Yeah, I know that feeling. It's not fun, especially if they catch you. I know I sent you a bombardment of photos. Some of them aren't cute. It wasn't meant to be cute, but I didn't know that they were taking pictures either. So, but yeah.
I think you know this, Phyllis. It's different when you see yourself. And when I go out there and cover games, I'm not doing this to promote myself per se. I mean, I am hopeful that if somebody at like a talent scout comes across my YouTube channel, that what I do could be a calling card, but I'm not going in there thinking, all right, this is going to boost my social media presence by a factor of whatever. So so when you see parents start sharing things you say, it's different if it's someone else, but when it's yourself, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's how I feel about hearing how I used to feel when I heard my voice in interviews too. I think I got interviewed during track. I got my senior year, I think, what is it? It's not regionals.
Sections.
It's before you get to state, but is it sections for track?
They call sections. I mean, sections, regions. Officially, they're sections, but region would work too.
Yeah. So I got like Northwest Suburban Conference athlete of the year or something, and they interviewed me, and it was summer. I looked dark, and I was just talking really fast because they grab you right after, you race, and I'm like, it's good, and I'm just like, come on, you couldn't give me like 5 minutes or something, like. I just like, girl, you're the worst. I'm just yelling at my old self. I'm like, but I just hated my voice when I used to do interviews. And now they're fine because when you go to college, the people interviewing you, they're at your facility. They're your media reporter. So they know, they try to give you a good look and stuff. And they'd be like, hey, are you good? You ready to go? Okay, cool. Okay, I'm just going to ask you a few questions, whatever. Good. Thank God that they do that, because in high school, some of them, I'm like, wait, let me catch my breath. I'm so tired. Just, where's my dad? Like, hold on. So, but I think being the awkward person I am sometimes, I could see it back in the day, quote unquote, back in the day. I was like, oh God. So, yeah.
And you said do you have that certificate of weirdness somewhere in your display case?
On the wall. Yeah.
It's on the wall.
It is. I can't take it down. It's my my pride. I look at it every morning. I'm like, today is the day. So no.
So if I visit you in Duluth at some point, who knows? I might end up there for whatever reason. I'll see your degree, and then I'll see that certificate of weirdness.
Mm-hmm. I have my jersey actually right here. I have they had really cool edits when I got my 1,000 points and 700 rebounds. It was in the same 5 seconds, which I didn't know. I went up for the rebound, and then we played at Kent State, and I went up and got an and one, I think. And then they made those edits. I didn't know, and people were tracking it for me. There were some people who were like, are you gonna make it? You're gonna make, and I was like, stop talking about it. Like, like, some people were hyping me up. Like, I know, fun fact, Rachel Banham's brother, Blake Banham, he went to Eastern too. And he would always mess with me and be like, are you gonna make it? He's like, you got this. And I'm like, shut up. Like, just let me, like, you're giving me anxiety, like, just relax. So, and a whole bunch, like, the trainers would mess with me too. And I'm like, leave me alone. But I wasn't really focused on that, during college. I was focused on winning. I didn't think I was going to make it, actually. I was like, I can't. I think I was like at 800 something points at the beginning of the season. I was like, I'm not gonna make it. And then I seen it. I was like, I made it. Okay. Like, so, but even past that, it's like, okay, you got that. I'm the 7th person in Eastern Michigan history to get that accomplishment. But then it's like, what's next? Like, you still got games, all that. But it's a really good accomplishment. I'm really glad that I got it. I had a really good college career for basketball, and that's why I'm glad I stayed at Eastern too. So, yeah.
And referencing what you said about talking to a younger version of yourself, with everything you've experienced as a high school, a college athlete, what you're doing now as a grant writer, and now making a presence for yourself on TikTok, or at least experimenting with it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you, but I found some of the videos you put together highly amusing. And I think it owes to the experience from, I get what you were trying to say in them. And I'll frame it this way. There's no chance in hell that I can pretend to be you, but when you cover basketball as long as I have, you become aware that you're going to meet a lot of people who don't look like you real quick. So, and I just handle that sincerely, because hey, they're athletes and we all speak the same language. But with everything you've experienced, what would you tell a younger version of yourself?
I've never thought about that before. I guess it sounds cliche, but I guess I would tell my younger self, like, with some of the stuff that like I've gone through, I'm really big on like mental health. Back, in college, like I did have a stint of like depression, and I just kind of hit it. But even that girl, or the one that I had in high school, or the person in high school, everything's gonna be okay. And I would say, like, you're you're gonna make it. Like, a couple years back, I'd say, like, when you I hate that in college you get the facade that you, I have a college degree, I'm good. That's where it starts. I have my master's, but I wasn't making that much money. I wasn't getting paid my worth. I had to figure it out. And like, again, like I went through another stint of like a little bit of depression, but now, and that's why I'm up here because I want to be cold. But
You're up.
I just, like, I'm by Lake Superior, that it's cold. I'm not gonna cuss it, but the bee is cold. She's cold. Lake Superior is cold as hell. But just saying like everything's okay and you're on the right track. I felt for so long, and a lot of people always said that I had like this, I have a very calm demeanor and I have everything under control. Like, and I don't know if like you get that demeanor from me too, but everybody's just like, you have your stuff handled. Like, you seem like you're doing really good. I didn't. So I told you my dad was in the Vietnam War and he's a Vietnam vet. So, children of military, they get their TRICARE, their medical. When I got out of college, I didn't have insurance. I was like, I was like, how am I going to fix this? So everything, just telling myself everything is okay, because I took a chance on myself and I joined the Army. So right now I'm a year in. I don't regret any of that. And I would say, with the history of my college career, me and you are discussing, missing that camaraderie and that teamwork. I think that's what I wanted. And I felt like the military had that, and there's some knuckleheads there, but that comes with the territory with anything you do, whether it's a coworker or a teammate or, just someone. I needed that hard work and that discipline, and excuse me, all of that came with basketball. And I needed insurance. So, basketball and sports and in everything, it always taught me like, everybody has your back, but you got to figure it out. If you only got 2 minutes on the clock and you're down by 2, you got to figure it out, So that's why I love like sports, because it teaches you so much, like um, people like the hard work, like I'll say, like example, like someone, a Monty Hooker, like he, plays for the Titans now, used to ride the bus with him. He has so much energy on the bus. I was like, oh my God, this little dude. But his hard work paid off. He picked the right craft because he has a lot of energy, but like hard work paid off, and he had to figure it out. And like that whole family, like the Hooker family, like their dad and mom instilled that in them. And I feel like that's like where we came from. That's what you do. I had a decent upbringing, but I guess I wouldn't tell myself figure it out, because I probably would freak out, but just telling myself everything's okay, and saying that it's okay to get help. Like I'm a very stubborn individual as well. I guess that's why the Army fits me. And, just asking for help, because by all means, most time people either A, have that question, same question you had, or B, want to help you, So I fondly, am glad that, I am where I'm at now. But I've had those moments where I've had to look at myself in the mirror and be like, relax, like you're doing okay. Like, and I've had it where like, before, you started recording, I know I said like, I'm just here. Like, I don't think I'm really that special. Like, I'm just trying to make my way through the world. But, on the outside looking in with everybody, like, at my college or, reporters, they think I'm an incredible person. I like being who I am. I like being humble, because there's always someone, that can take your spot, but you just always got to prove yourself, So I love being humble, because I like going through the world at peace, So, which is the opposite of the Army, but whatever. But I just kind of, I love who I've become so far, and it's only the beginning. Like I really, really like who I have become, and I love who everybody else has become that has made it out, quote unquote, made it out of Minnesota as an athlete. The like I've still followed, since I mentioned like Amani, Quentin, he's doing really good. Yeah, I love following him. Like I adore him and his wife and his son that he has. Like I just like seeing like people being successful, So, and I hope that they would think the same for me, but I just love to see it. We all used to go to elementary school together or played against each other. That's what life is about, seeing people succeed and reaching like their potential and all that. So, and I know I'm rambling a little bit, but like that's what I would tell myself, like everything's gonna be okay, So
Phyllis, I think if you run into that scenario, you should write yourself a novel after that answer. I think that would be a better way to read.
Yeah, actually, it was probably like supposed to be a sentence, but if you also ask Janay, I talk a lot. If I'm comfortable with you, I talk a lot. So, and that's how you get to know people. I also don't like people like that. It happens. I'm an introvert, but like with stuff like this is, I'm not making sense. I'm an introvert, but if your energy is cool, I will talk your ear off. And people at Janay be like, shut up. I'm like, no, talk to me. Like, I'm like, be my friend. But I always mess with her like that. She'd be like, Phyllis, shut up. I'm like, no, I will not. You listen to me right now. So, but yeah.
Oh my, wow. I will say, I know you're in Duluth, Phyllis, so distance might be an issue, but I'm going, yeah, I think I would love to have you alongside to call some basketball with me. I'm making a full return this winter at the high school circuit, because I took this up interviewing, reporting, all of that, because I just like to talk. So I figure, well, why not go get into something where you can make use of it and people won't become sick of you. That was my motivation. I'm going, well, embrace it. So I think you'd be a great fit.
People don't want those problems. I'm not gonna.
No, I'm saying you and I just call it game because there will never be any dead air. Like there will always be something.
True, yeah, but then I'm gonna start talking about weird stuff, and I'll be like, "Yeah, I had this burrito earlier. It's really good." Like, what?
I mean, look at where Bill Walton is now, just by being himself. So
true, that's very true. It depends. I think I'll stick. I work in a cube right now, but like I'm like a background individual. Like no one says thank you all the time. It's a thankless job, but I'm fine with that. Like I like being like doing the underground work so that the forefront and people can get help. I like helping people a lot. So I'm a background person. I'm a background dancer. Okay. I don't need to be the Beyoncés of the world. I like who I am. So maybe one of these days, if you're calling a game at Osseo or something, I'll come through. But hey, I'd be like, you need somebody? I'm in town. So
hey, whenever you're paying a visit, I think you would be a great fit. And you're not the only person who has mentioned that, yes, they can talk, but being an introvert. So I've actually learned a few things that have gone against all the stereotypes you hear about introverts, which if we had more time, we could open up. And you and I think could open up as completely separate podcasts or spinoffs just from what you're saying, because it is possible, like, yes, introverts have friends, but like you said, you're more of a background individual, and
right.
I'm a little more extroverted. But with me, I just kind of accept it as part of the territory. Like you're going to be out there, you're going to meet people. If that bothered you, then sports is not what you should be doing.
Yeah, I mean,
for me anyway.
Well, yeah, like I get what you're saying. But for me, like, and I've always thought about that too. Like, I don't like being watched, but I also like to compete. I'm, you're not worried about who's out watching you. You're worried about who's on the court because they're trying to beat you. I don't like being beat. Like, I never, it sounds weird, but the metaphor I would give it is like, even if you're on like a big stage, it's kind of muted. You're focused on like what's going on, like whether how loud it is or whatever, it's kind of muted because you're focused. You don't get me wrong, like I kind of characterize atmosphere different with that because it's like it comes with the territory, but I wasn't really like, oh, like fans or anything like that. It was more so, I have a goal to accomplish tonight. I need to win. I'm not thinking, oh, what's that person over there gonna say? So like an audience, I've never been like it's my time to shine type person. I'm here for my teammates. I really want to succeed for them and myself. Everything else, I don't have time for that because you're thinking of all plays, your form, being in the moment. I don't care really about it. I love fans, like if they're there to support or not support, do you. But it comes with the territory, but it's muted to me. So
and I'll leave you with this, as crazy as this might sound, considering our discussion, Phyllis. This is based off a question I get from the breakdown book, if you remember those in high school that would come out every year.
I still have mine.
Well, what would you say is the most unusual thing about yourself that people wouldn't know if they met you for the first time?
I don't know. There's a lot. I really don't. I guess I'm not too weird, I guess, right? I don't know.
Despite having a certificate of weirdness in your wall or on your wall.
I don't know who signed it. I just took it. I guess I'd say like I try to game as much as I can. I love like the old school, like Nintendo. I have a Switch. I have a PS5. Yes, I copped one. Don't ask me how I did that. But you know, I love like the Lara Crofts of the world. I love Call of Duty. I play Madden. I'm not playing online because I will get my butt whooped. I just play it just for fun. Not really a 2K type person, but like I just like playing video games. Like I don't know what it is about it, like the Mortal Kombats and all that, but it's just fun to me. And seeing how advanced technology has been getting, it's crazy. Like the graphics of everything and all that. And like I always watch people game, and I love horror movies too. So I like watching people play horror movie or horror games, I'd say. Um, I like gaming, you know. So I don't anything else. I really don't. My favorite book is Oh, the Places You'll Go. I decorated my cap like that in all glitter. That's what it is. I figured it out. Okay. I like glitter. I like holographic, shiny. People be like, "What? You don't look like the type of person." No. I love like, let me see if I can get this off. I love holographic, like shiny stuff. I had one person recently. They said to me, they were like, you didn't seem like that type of person that would like that. And I'm like, oh, well, I am. I really am. Let me see if I can get this off for you before we gotta go here. People are
What?
probably like, what's going on? I'm like, just wait for it.
Well,
Yeah.
while you're doing that, I was
Mhm.
thinking like, well, I do have a Switch. I'm a Mario Kart player myself, and
I love Mario Kart. Whoop, there it goes.
I also there it is.
Hmm. I love stuff like this. So, and then like this is my when my dad was in the Vietnam War, I got these two stickers and put them on here. So, yeah, I love stuff like this. That's the weird thing about me. You be like, why do you like this stuff? I'll be like, it makes my soul happy. So that's what I like. So, but yeah, that's the weird quirk. Forget all the other stuff I said.
Well, then I was going to say on the Nintendo front, I don't know, like Mario Kart's one of my games, but if you like holographic shiny things, I'm going, hey, you'd be a great shiny hunter in Pokemon.
What is that? I played Pokemon Shield, but that was
Shiny
kind of
hunting. So it shiny is the term that fans use for alternate color variations.
oh
But
like the
it's a comp.
holographic.
Yeah, so like every Pokemon has an alternate color variance of their species, and
Got
it's
you.
signaled by what they call a shiny. So there's like a shiny sparkle. Uh,
Mhm.
so
Is it synonymous to like ultra rare, rare, like those type, the ones that are like the it kind of goes back to like the Pokemon Yu-Gi-Oh cards where it was like the metallic, like they looked
um,
like something.
sort of. In the video game, it's easier now, but it's one of the side hobbies I think of players to go shiny hunting because it's like, hey, you got this, this alternate looking deal. So, and they
Mm.
have like usually once or twice a month they'll do weekend events where you can shiny hunt for a specific type. So I'm like, that
Hmm.
might uh
Is it
float
on
your boat.
Pokemon Go or is it just the
Sword and Shield.
Oh, okay, okay. I think I've heard of it. I wasn't too interested because I didn't know what it was, but now that you explain it, um, I might, I might dabble before the snow falls.
Well, I know we've learned a lot, and Phyllis, I think the only limit we had was time because you mentioned so many things about your story that I would love to get into, but maybe that sets the stage for a future episode of this podcast. But I would venture to say, this is just me making a guess, but I'd venture based on our interactions that you consider me cool, I guess, since you were willing to share so much about yourself in this last hour or so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a jerk. My dad told me don't be a jerk to people. I'm an introvert and I feel people out, but it's like you're a good dude. Like you're doing a lot of you you know so much history about so many players. Like you help people go down memory lane, and like people just have like a really, really good, when people go down memory lane, it's good vibes, So I think that, I'll even pulling up the pictures I sent you too. There's so many memories that come with so much of it. You can only appreciate and just like think about the past. You can't get that back, those moments, but you have that moment in time where it's like, you felt some type of way. And like, that's why I think that, being a human is so incredible, because when you look at a picture, you get that exact feeling back from when that exact moment hit, So a lot of those pictures, I had a lot of fun in, if I wish I knew some things that I, know now, but I think I had a really good career at Eastern, getting my bachelor's and trying to support, other teams. I have good friendships from Eastern. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I love who I became since I have left Eastern and when I was there, and the friendships that, no one can take away from me, and my degrees. I'm still helping people now. And still trying to keep getting better and better each day. So I think that, you may see some more pictures in the future of me doing some other, cool, incredible stuff. So.
Well, I look forward to that, and I look forward to what the next phase of our discussion brings. This podcast series, and you speak of memory lane, and again, I have fond memories of you and Janay, of all the athletes I got to see, whether it was once or multiple times, and it's fun to engage with them again, because yes, we give a lot of attention to Paige Beckers and Nia Coffey and those who go pro, but there are a lot of stories out there, and whether it involves a professional career in sports or elsewhere, you and Janay and everyone you were a part of at Osseo and beyond are making a difference out there. And that's what I like to highlight.
Yeah. So the basketball stops at some point, but you still you take what you learn from the sports and you put it out in the world. So I think that's what I'm doing right now. Discipline and hard work.
Well, I'm glad you're able to do that, and I can't wait to see what comes next for you, Phyllis.
Thank you. Yeah.
Phillis Webb, a graduate of Eastern Michigan University and now a grant writer for Duluth and a part of the Army. So she's got a lot on her plate, a lot of avenues she's exploring, but whether it was Osseo, Eastern Michigan, and whatever she's doing, chances are she might be working in the background, but you will see her impact in some way, shape, or form.
Absolutely.
So thanks again, Phyllis, for your conversation. And if you want to take part in a conversation of your own, all you have to do is contact us on social media at the Mike Beaton on Twitter or Instagram. All you need is a good story, and we're happy to share it. So until next time, thanks for watching.